Hello and welcome to Follow Everton. This is the match preview for Arsenal versus Everton at the Gunners Stadium down in London. And today to host the stream alongside me, I've got Corey. Hi, Corey.
Hi, Ryan, mate. How we doing? Me okay?
Yeah, I'm good. Thanks for having me on.
No worries,
To
no
join
worries.
you
Good to have
on
you on
my
this
channel.
channel. Yeah. Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining in. First and foremost, as Eugene McGeever says there, remember to smash the like button, not just now, throughout the stream or by the time you've finished. Really goes a long way to helping us host things. Really goes a long way to helping us grow the channel, make things look a little bit better. I'm sure you can see that I don't look as rough today as I have done previously. That's all thanks to a better setup again. So your help, we appreciate that. But without further ado, let's get stuck into it.
Corey,
So Everton,
great. I agree. Should we all just say Corey's looking a lot sharper in his picture and his sound is a lot better. I think he's still working on the mic placement. Move over to the mic, just show us what it sounds like. Not too close.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Little bit closer.
That for us up the Toffees.
Look how clear that is. When we can get to the bottom of the placement, it'll be perfect.
There we go.
And you may notice that I've been absent for a while. I've just had a baby. And my house has been ripped apart and I'm still working. It's been very difficult. And I'm now in the room that will be the studio. So I haven't quite got the setup. I still haven't found an Everton kit. I'm wearing my Everton onesie at the moment. And I'm on a headset, but you should have crystal clear audio and the picture should be okay. And soon I'll have some Everton things in here. I'll be able to have my lights on the front. I'll get my proper mic and we'll go from there. But I think you'll all agree this is a bit better than sitting on the sofa and trying to wing it temporarily. But yeah, Corey, you were just about to talk about the game and particularly Sean Dyche, his interview today, his press conference.
Yeah, so Everton take the trip down to the Emirates to face Arsenal. Sean Dyche had his press conference earlier today. Team news wasn't nothing exceptionally new. We know that Garner and Eric Boonham are both out. Chimitti's making his way back. We did have a game midweek, didn't we, behind closed doors. He's apparently had a couple of minutes.
Did we win?
He may make a cameo, but the only real news is that everyone's fit. Brozier might make another cameo again. What do you make? Any surprising news for yourself, Rai?
Not really. I just want to ask you, did we win in the midweek match?
Do you know what? I'm not too sure. I missed that little bit. I think he said that, as he always does, the result's not important. It's mainly about fitness. So he very much glossed over that. We probably got beat. So,
in terms of the team news there, just on the back of that, I'm frustrated, obviously, that James Garner and Timur Boonham are still a little bit a while away. I would have liked to have seen them back, but that's annoying. It just kind of leaves us short in that midfield and the conundrum of the Decore one, where I just don't think he suits the deep lying role. But I think Corey now, maybe he's the shoe in the number 10 position. In the meantime, after the back of the Wolves result, I think it would be wrong to kind of fiddle around with it. In which case, there's no more injuries, is there? Anything players are coming back. Coleman, Patterson, as you said, Chimitti. For me, the one that I want to get in the team and get fit is Brozier.
Yeah, it was only a cameo last week, but it was a very good cameo. He looked very, very bright when he come on. He had something different. He can hold the ball up, but he looked very, very creative. He looked like he was very much linking the play up and allowing players like Decore, Harrison to really make their way into the box, where usually we don't typically have extra players running into the box feeding off Dom, do we? He's usually the sole man there. So hopefully it adds a different dimension to our play.
Yeah, I can't see him playing, in all honesty. I think he's set in his ways, and I think Calvert-Lewin will play. But in a game like against Arsenal, Calvert-Lewin's the number 9 who holds the ball up, brings others into play. Well, that's a theory. I'm not sure we're going to get numbers forward really to support him in this match. And I would probably go down the counter-attacking route and be like, who are the best counter-attackers? Well, Brozier, even better, are better at counter-attacking than Calvert-Lewin. I think if we go with the Calvert-Lewin route, we're just going through the motions, and it'll be another, like people in the comments are saying, another sort of going through the motions and still end up losing 4 or 5-0, like what Peter is suggesting here. He thinks it'll be 4 or 5-0. And Sean is expecting a defeat as well. I think if we do samey with Calvert-Lewin, I just can't see us getting enough possession to get up the pitch to give him chances, and I think he doesn't finish. So I'd be chucking Brozier in as the number 9 and saying we're going to play on the counter-attack in this game.
Yeah, I agree to an extent. I think his main thing will probably be because that's what Dice like to do. Let's go very, very solid, like you said, very samey. Hopefully, what it does offer, because I don't think he is going to start anyone other than Calvert-Lewin, what it does offer is the opportunity for us to actually make different changes and change the shape. Instead of going like for like, Calvert-Lewin for Beto every single time, maybe we can go 2 up top later on, less wide play, just rely on Brozier bringing the likes of Beto in to play behind the lines. So the main thing for myself is that we can have a different dynamic maybe later on in the game when we're chasing it or maybe trying to turn the screw and go for
Mm. See, the problem with the 4-4-2 is that I don't think Beto is very good at pressing. I think he looks tired very quickly.
To be fair for myself, it's not so much a case of the 4-4-2, because the 4-4-2s that we know that are successful these days are very dynamic 4-4-2s where your forwards and your wingers can all play the same similar kind of positions. And like you said, Beto's not very technical, he's not very good on the ball. But if, let's say, we're to pack the centre of midfield, maybe go forward in midfield, a little midfield diamonds, it allows us to pack that midfield up. It allows Mangala, Gay, Decore all to get in there, and then still allows us to have 2 up top. So again, it's not so much 4-4-2, but it's just different dynamics.
I think the only chance of really getting something in this match is if we're really disruptive and make it nasty for Arsenal and difficult. And I think in the last time we played them, we held them out for a long, long time. And then I think they got 2 quick fire goals, was it, quite late on? A penalty and maybe another one. So we need to stifle them, try and get the crowd, make the crowd flat. I think be very aggressive in the midfield with Garner and Onana. And I still think Decore in there. But I just think you've still got to offer a threat. Otherwise, you just make it so easy for Arsenal. And I think that threat has got to come from Ndiaye, Brozier. And I know you might not agree with this, but I'd probably go with Lindstrom, Corey, because I don't think McNeil offers you anything at the moment. He's slowing the game down too much. His passing and his lack of pace is going to be... He's just going to be... What is the point of putting him in the team in that match? He's just going to be running around chasing shadows. I think you need your players with pace. And I think Lindstrom, although he hasn't got the end product, as I think, give him the opportunity to show his pace on the counter-attack with Brozier and Ndiaye. Or, like you said, 4-4-2, and you go Calvert-Lewin and Brozier up front, 10 men behind the ball, and then we just go for it on the counter-attack.
Yeah, I think there's
Did I just say Onana? Oh, fucking hell. Sorry, mate. I've been living in the past. I wish. Garner and fucking... What's his
easily
name?
done, isn't it?
Garner
I think you're right. It is going to be a case of packing the midfield.
Mangala. They're all sound the bloody same. Why can't we find some players who sound different?
Yeah. I think there's only 2 ways to go about it. Like you said, you pack the midfield, you're very disruptive, you don't let Arsenal play between the lines. And I think if you pack a bunch of central midfielders in there, you're really, really narrowing it and you're not allowing them to play between them lines. And the other option is, like you said, on the counter-attack. We've seen what happens when Arsenal, because they like to play a high line. If you can get behind that, you can really disrupt it and you can cause issues. Saliba got a red card only, a month ago for them playing a very high line and breaking it. So Lindstrom with his pace certainly is something that we could utilise to put that pressure on. And yeah, look, if you do it early on when Arsenal are going to be feeling confident and progressing high, you've got more space behind for them to run.
Our best chance is basically Arsenal come at us, the crowd's up for it, the expectations on them to win, and we settle the storm for the first 15 minutes, don't concede any goals. Arsenal get a bit frustrated, and then we have to take advantage, come into the game, make it nasty for them, time wasting, giving away a lot of free kicks, tactical fouls. If we frustrate Arsenal, frustrate the crowd, and then try and get a foothold in the game, that would be magnificent. But so the problem is the Arsenal defenders, Corey. Saliba, he's really quick, really strong. Gabriel, really quick, really strong. I think the areas we've probably got to target is Arsenal's fullbacks, which have improved, but I think the centre halves for Arsenal are brilliant. Our best chance is basically waiting for Arsenal to overcommit on the attack and trying to pick them off on our own counter-attacks when we get our movements. But what I saw, Corey, in the Man United game, Man United are terrible, by the way, and we should not be losing there, is we can't make good decisions in the final third, and we give the ball away too much. So I personally think, yes, we should be frustrating them, bringing them onto us, narrowing the gaps, making it impossible for them to play in behind us, and then go into counter-attack with our fast, powerful, aggressive players, Ndiaye, Beto, Brozier, that sort of player. But we've got to get the ball back off them first. We've got to, yeah, I'm getting everything mixed up in my head there. What I'm trying to say.
No, look,
They're
easily
really good
done, mate.
defensively.
Yeah, it's no, you're very much correct. Like we said, very much need to disrupt the game, make things really, really difficult for them to play against. They're not a crossing team, so he likes to play narrow. Let's just play into that. Let's play really, really narrow. I know it's not nice. I know it's anti-football, I guess, but we have to play our game and we have to grind results.
Corey,
If
can I
he's
give
not,
you a little? Can I give you a little argument against that? And I'm not saying you're wrong. We play really narrow in this match. Mikalenko is basically playing as a fourth centre back. And Ashley Young or Coleman are basically playing as a full centre back on the other side. And then all we're asking of Endai, who we need at the other end of the pitch to make things happen, is he's basically playing left wing back. And you've got the same problem on the right, and it could be Jack Harrison playing right wing back.
yeah.
So it worries me if we play too narrow. But then if we don't play narrow, they'll just pick holes between the centre halves and fullbacks, and then behind our midfield too. So
But we don't. The
concerning, isn't
narrow
it?
play doesn't necessarily mean we have to play a low block like that. We can still play somewhat of a mid block. That the midfield press up a little bit, and if you just crowd that midfield, allow your midfielders to come in a little bit more central as well. You're just narrowing that space. The concern is if they cross the ball and they get corners, because we know their ability from corners. That's the risk that you're taking. But if we can do that and we can have our wide players, Lindstrom and Jai, or any forward players up top, if they can be alert enough to defend narrow and spring, that's when you've got your best chance. Like I said, we don't want to go too deep, because then when we spring a counter attack, there's just too much space. But if we do that mid block, Lindstrom, Njai, Beto, DCL, whoever, if they've got the pace, they can get behind that high Arsenal back line and essentially cause a counter attack.
Ooh.
You've got to play
Sound good when you're talking to the mic. You sound better. We need to find out that placement. It's not that you sound unclear. You just sound slightly better.
From next week, it'll be a little bit better. My missus is still in the middle of the tree up. So that's why I've been relegated to the back room at the moment. But regular service will resume.
Corey, I think it's important to have different opinions and different ways of looking at this, because I actually think if we're bringing Arsenal on and we leave acres of space for us to exploit on the counter-attack, and we have players who can carry the ball, and if Arsenal leave us 2-on-2, 3-on-3, then you want your Endai, Lindstrom, your Brozier. They're the three you want. They can run into that space and exploit Arsenal. I think if we play a mid-block, we've got to do that with the idea of we're going to press. So think of Aston Villa away last year in the Carabao Cup. We pressed. We had five at the back, but we were like pressed up on them, pinned on them, man for man, and it worked. We won the ball up high up the pitch and scored from it. And that's one thing I missed this season, Corey, about Everton. We don't win the ball high up. We don't turn teams over and punish them. You know, all the goals are set pieces if we score. We're not creating from open play. We almost seem to struggle when we got to break teams down. And I think maybe we'll benefit from acres of space when opposition are having all of the ball and everyone in our half and we've got to nick it. Look, it's such a difficult game, because if we go narrow, they'll play around us. We'll end up with four centre backs. We won't be able to get out. If we play too expansive, they'll play through the holes and the gaps. What are we supposed to do?
Pray, hope for a Christmas miracle. Ideally, like I said, there's no guaranteed way around this. Arsenal are an exceptional team. They'd be a lot closer to those in red if they didn't have injuries. They've come out that side of injuries now. They've got a lot of their players back, and that's where it's a little bit difficult. But one thing I've noticed when watching Arsenal at times this season is they can get a little bit predictable, and this is where they've struggled, because their fullbacks, as good as they are, they're not marauding wing backs. They don't get forward as much. You don't stretch you. And that's why I believe if you can play a little bit narrower, just force them out wide, it gives you a lot more of a chance to deal with it. I understand where you're coming from as well. I can appreciate that. And there's no set way to beat them because they are such a good team. I think you've got to nullify the threat first. Their creative players can at times be a little bit predictable. You can kind of telegraph what they're trying to do. Stopping that's a different thing. But we've got solid centre backs. So I do think this game is. I think we do, yeah. I think they've been in poor form. I think Tarkowski's been terrible, and I think Branthwaite's been shaky. But last season has got to count for something in terms of how solid he looked, not just tactically, but individual battles. So I do think the ability's there. I think it's a confidence thing at the moment. We've been absolutely poor for the start of the season. Centre backs have certainly been a part of that, but a lot of it is confidence. We say that going forward with your patterns of play, but certainly defensively, them 50-50s, you need to go in knowing you're going to win that.
Apart from the United game, we've been solid defensively, and they were all individual errors. And I think that a lot of them come from players hesitating, not a lot of movement in front of them, a lack of confidence, frustration, everything combined in there. And I think the Wolves game, we were so comfortable defensively, but generally, um, I'm going to just contradict myself here. But in the first few games, when we were defending the box, we couldn't defend the box. Now the question is, can we defend the box? If so, then we can play narrow. We can have Mikolenko defending as like a left-sided centre half in a back four, and that ends up what's happening because you can force Arsenal wide and then defend the box well. Which I think when we've had success against Arsenal, we force them wide. Saka's very left-footed. He doesn't tend to go down the right-hand side. So can we double up? So when he cuts in on the left, one of the midfielders come across. Does that lend itself maybe to have a third man in the midfield who's that one who can just so that when someone has to shift over to stop him cutting in on his left foot, he can't just keep shifting it over and over and over and there's a load of space. Does that make sense? So Saka's coming down the left, their right. Mikolenko wants to show him onto his weak foot, but he's a good player, so inevitably he's going to come in on his left. One of our midfielders has to come across to stop him shooting on his left foot. What's to stop Saka then just shifting it over again and being outnumbered? They just pass around us. Do we need to have another midfielder dropping in, making it tight? Do we need to go with more of a flat system as well? Maybe 4-4 and then 2 strikers who go on Saliba and Gabriel and mark them to stop them building from the back. There's a few things to consider here.
There is, and it's like I said, there's different ways around it. I think personally, the way Dyche's going to go is going to be the same team that we've seen against Wolves. Understandably, it was a 4-0 win. You reward players for a performance like that. I think if that is the case, Decore will play that number 10 role, and he'll be expected, as he always is, to come back and drop deep. If he's clever enough and smart enough, then he will be able to help double up on Mikolenko or drop centrally when Idrissa Gana Gueye doubles up on him. And again, Ben White on that right back role, he's more of a centre back. He's more of a wide playing centre back. I wouldn't consider him a attacking wing back. So we do force him inside, but we try to crowd him out. Mikolenko's been good at that. Players cutting in on their left foot is usually what he's better at. You're Adama Traores who just want to burst it round you. He can't deal. But when you're trying to cut in, he's good because he's not pacey. He's not got ridiculous legs. But what he is he's dependable and solid if he's setting you inside where he wants you. He's a good one-on-one defender at times.
So let's break this down then. We've talked about a lot of things. How do we defend against Arsenal set pieces where they all run across the front and they're swung directly under the keeper with a small goalie like Pickford?
In regard to this, I prefer if you go man-to-man as opposed to zonal, because what it does is when players are playing zonal, it allows them to get across and it gives them that extra yard of space. Modern day defending set-piece tactics is a little mix of both, and I don't know if Dyche is going to work on this in training, but I would just go man for man as opposed to zonal. Our defenders are also physical, so all you've got to do is trying to be able to disrupt them. The main aggravators for that is the 2 centre-backs, Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes. So if you can have our 2 centre-backs on them, maybe DCL, and just try and match them man for man, they're the main points that you've got to do because they're the ones who get all their goals from set pieces. They're who they're aiming for. They're so good at it. But if you just go man to man and go as physical as you can with them, you got to hope to not get a penalty, which means Tarky being on best behaviour. But that's what I would personally do. I would drill it man for man, stick tight, and just bounce off them.
I've just been reminded by Aussie Chris in the comments. We were good against them in the final game of last season. The end product wasn't there, and
it's mistake from Ashley Young giving the ball away late on, and that was when we were on a good run of form.
Oh, he passed it across the fucking
Oh, but then there was the handball which should have been given and it wasn't. So it was one of them.
We got robbed. Would you one? Listen. The other question then is, I know we're just co-hosting this. Let's be honest. What is the way we can stop Arsenal from open play? Then you think it's narrow and let our wingers track their fullbacks? Is it?
Yeah, and then have making sure they're alert enough to be able to spring forward. Because again, if you're getting in between them players, if your wingers are going to be playing fairly central, the wing backs aren't going to be tracking them, and the centre backs who drop wide aren't going to be
Mm.
tracking them. So if you play central, nullify the game, you get the ball, you've got to be able to break quick. We're going to have the legs. The extra couple of days break we've had by not playing the derby should help with that as well against
Oh,
Arsenal
that's
players
good.
who
Yeah,
are going to be tired. And
yeah.
that's it. Play narrow, frustrate them, and really strong breaks or wide players just trying to break them lines and cause a lot of indecision get behind them.
It's knowing which of the counterattacks are worth getting the numbers forward, because I've seen it at times where we haven't quite got a hold of the ball and we've had too many players going forward, and then we've lost it and we've been turned over and been caught out. So the players have got to use some footballing intelligence to know when they can spring forward, when we can get people forward, and who should get forward. And it shouldn't be Mikalenko because he offers nothing in the final third. It has to, or Garner. It should be the ones who can make an impact. And I think we've got to find a balance between attackers and defenders in this game, and otherwise we could be too defensive, and that's on the manager. That's why he's earning the money. My third question, before I'm sure you're going to talk about team selection, which is probably a bit obvious, and predictions, is how do we cause them problems?
Apart from counter attacking, it, you've got me stumped. That is the only way I see goals happening because they're a solid team defensively. Arsenal, you have to be reactive to them. You need to catch up on them. We've got a chance from attacking set pieces as well. Yes, they're good themselves, but let's not pretend that we're not also exceptional at them. It accounts for a vast majority of the goals that we've scored, especially considering that we're not great with free flowing football. But that's the main thing for myself is literally potentially the odd late run into the box, but it's going to be set pieces, counter attacks. It's as straightforward as that for me. I'll be drilling them all week in that type of football. And then maybe later on, like we've said, if we've got the options to be a bit more dynamic, like so your Brozier, your Chimitis, changing the game, even a Patterson, bring him on late on when they're not expecting us to maybe push up from one of the wing backs or full backs.
Corey, I can't get over how much better your sound and picture is. It's just unbelievable. Let us know in the comments what you think. It's miles better, mate. It's really slick, and
Thank you
you
very
won't
much, my mate.
appreciate it
Appreciate it.
until you watch it back. You won't realize. I know I'm in a very echoey room here. I've got literally no furniture. I spent a fortune on this loft conversion. It's a dormer loft conversion, quite large. You can't really see. Can you see? It's still not finished, but it's quite a big room, and there's a bathroom up here as well, but I've got no furniture. It's gonna have to wait till till some more money comes in. So it's just at the moment I've literally just got this desk and the TV that sat behind me with nowhere to sit. So I thought there's no point putting it on the wall yet. But I'm gonna be upgrading my setup as well soon. So I do apologize. It's a bit if it's a bit echoey. It's because there's literally no furniture in here and there's nothing to absorb any of the sounds. But you sound and look fantastic, and I really like the sage green color at the moment. That's really in. Should we talk about team selection?
Yeah. So what we know from the press conference is that we've got no other absentees. Chimiti, Brozier, the only players really coming back. Coleman as well. Are you expecting a change side from what beat Wolves? Are you expecting any kind of changes at all?
No, the change that I would make there would be Brozier and for Calvert-Lewin. Some people are going to be saying why, because he nearly scored, but I just think it's the circumstances of this game. We're not going to be playing a game where we're playing a long ball to DCL and then we have three midfielders losing their discipline, losing their shape to go and support him to try and build an attack against Arsenal. We've got very good defenders who'll just snuff you out. I think the only way we're going to get something is with pace and strength to try and match their pace and strength, which is going to be very difficult, or maybe picking up the pockets. But I think our best chance is going to be exposing them if they overcommit players, and we need players with pace to be able to do that. And for me, Calvert-Lewin hasn't got the legs that Brozier's got. I could be completely wrong. He won't do it, but it might be quite nice. Corey, to answer your question, I think he'll go with an unchanged team, but
Yeah.
not necessarily what I would do.
If you were in charge, would it just be the Brozier substitution, would change for DCL that you go for then? That's it?
No.
No. Patterson?
No, I think Ashley Young has been our best player this season. Apart from the first couple of matches, he's come into his own and he's earned the right, Corey, to be in there.
He has, and this is when previously, when Keane was keeping his space, we said about players losing the shape compared to others. I don't think Keane had done enough at that time. Whereas Young at the moment, like you said, he's been very consistent after his wobble. And I think these type of games as well, this running that we've got, lends itself to the player that Ashley Young is. I know a lot of us will be clamouring for Patterson to play. He might be a
Shite
good
one.
impact later on, but I think Ashley Young will be. He's perfectly suited for these games we've got going on, hasn't he?
If you're going to be involved in a 4-5-0 defeat stinker at Arsenal, which is what we're all expecting, then I think Ashley Young is perfect for that. And to compound matters, we have an even worse fullback on the other side in Mikalenko. Corey, there is an argument to shift Ashley Young over to the left. Say to Ashley, you're part of like a back three. When we've got the ball, you don't go forward with the other two centre halves. You're all kind of in a three, and then one of the central midfielders sits, and that means you've always got 4 defenders there, disciplined. And then on the right, you bring in Nathan Patterson, who has license to go forward, combined with our right winger. And try and build attacks down the right, and then cross it into the box, and have Ndai getting in the box, and Decore and the striker. The other thing I could say that won't happen as well is I don't think, Corey, that the inverted wingers has worked this season.
Yeah, I think the issue that we've had with the inverted wingers is for them to work, and you'll see with any team that has the inverted wingers or inside forwards, is they have the overlapping fullbacks. Because if you're inverted and you're running inwards, all the team has to do is just shepherd you and shepherd you. They can commit more men to defend that inverted midfielder, because they're not going to have the wide back overlapping and causing that indecision. The one time that we had a chance against Brentford is when we literally, one of the players overlapped. I think it was Ashley Young overlapped, and it led for enough space for Njai to cut in and put the ball across, which Mikalenko completely fluffed, if you remember that one. But Dyche doesn't like that. I would like him to at least meet us in the middle and essentially have, if you have one wing back that's going to attack and one fullback that doesn't, that works, because that fullback, like you said, can tuck in, the other one joins the attack. But again, I'm not going to advocate for Ashley Young to come out, because he's done very, very well. He deserves a space in the squad. It's not one of them things where I'm not going to get completely emotional about, if you know what I mean.
I do think when you've got inverted wingers, you do need to have the attacking fullbacks bombing on. I think that's one of the key principles of it. Otherwise, how does that work? But I also think, Corey, how can you have forwards that rely on crosses and then never have anyone who can cross a ball without having to cut inside to play a cross where the striker's got to kind of twist himself and head it towards goal? Why aren't we getting to the byline and pulling it back across, or fizzing it across the box, getting a deep cross in with your strong foot? So a left-footed winger on the left side, a right-footed winger on the right side, rather than always inverted, always having to beat someone, always trying to make a goal out of nothing. Let's get back to the basics offensively, like we did against Wolves. It was just get the ball in the box. We did it with the set pieces, but let's do it from open play.
Yeah, I think he's very risk averse. We go through this all the time. He is very risk averse, and he doesn't want his fullback going too far forward. But again, it's the same as with the inverted wingers. If your fullbacks are going wide and your wingers are coming inside, it stretches. You can get that early ball in, and the amount of goals that teams score, the amount of goals that we concede from teams having overlapping fullbacks or wide players who are stretching the play and we whip a ball in. You don't need to be a massive player, because if a ball's whipped in, you just need to get in behind 2 players, and you just need to get on the end of that ball. The momentum sends it towards goal. So you're very much correct in what you're saying, and I completely agree. But we know, again, from what we've seen with Dyche over 2.5 years, coming up to 3 years now, that he doesn't like massively overlapping fullbacks. Most of the crosses from your defenders come from deep.
He doesn't like a lot. Corey, give me a prediction.
I reckon it's going to be 1-0 to Arsenal.
You think it'll be a very tight game?
I think it's going to be very tight, but I don't think we've got it in us to score a goal. And I do think if Arsenal score more than 1, they run away with it. It gets 3, 4, maybe even 5 again. But I think Dyche will very much in this mindset want to try and prove himself and just go, keep it staunch, keep it safe. And hopefully the players can at least battle, considering the that he didn't get to battle against the red shite. Hopefully they've still got that fire in the blood to go against another team in red.
Kind of don't want to take points off Arsenal, but we've got to focus on ourselves. I suppose. I think Liverpool probably win the league this season at a canter, in all honesty, and we just have to accept that if they're that good, they win it, and we have to focus on ourselves, and that means beating Arsenal and trying to stay in the division. And I don't think it's a given, Corey, because before we go, I've been watching a little bit of Premier League recently with the baby, kind of just sitting around when I'm doing feeds and helping. And one of the games I watched was I think it was West Ham Leicester, and I thought West Ham have got so many good players, and they lost to Leicester, who to me don't have as many good players, but just had a bit of cutting edge and a bit of nous. And then I saw the other game the other day, another West Ham match. Was it they were playing? They won. Bowen scored. Another rubbish team at the bottom they were playing.
That wasn't the Wolves one, was it?
Yeah, Wolves.
Yeah.
I look at that and I think Wolves haven't actually got bad players in a lot of positions. I think West Ham have got poor centre halves. They look quite slow. Wolves have got they've got like pace on the counter attack, and you're like wondering how are you at the bottom. I don't think there's three genuinely garbage teams. I think Ipswich and Southampton are gone, but I can't pick the third one.
Yeah. See, I think Ipswich will still put a fight in, but they're definitely going down. Southampton certainly. I think Palace still aren't getting consistent. The issue with Wolves, and this potentially is going to be our best chance, is that as good as they are going forward, Matheus Cunha is a Europa League, Champions League level player. Ryan Aït-Nouri is brilliant going forward, although suspect defensively. Is the team cannot defend. They've sold all their best defenders. Max Kilman was the last one they had. He was
He's gone to West Ham, isn't he? But he's
he's the only really decent centre back that they had, and the team's got rid of him and they've not replaced him. That's what the Wolves fans are furious about. If you see him on social media, is that the team's been stripped quite a bit, especially defensively, and that's where they're really going to struggle.
Cunha will be off, won't he?
I seen a stat on Twitter in that when it comes to relegation teams that overperform in defence and underperform in attack are much more likely to survive than teams to overperform in attack and underperform in defence. So please don't think I am a Dyche apologist, because I'm not his biggest fan either, but that's some little bit of hope for us to hold on to. And I'm sure he'll be clutching that stat. Probably got it on a pendant around his neck.
Really good. Good analysis, Corey. So I haven't got a lot to add right now, unless you've got anything you want to say. I've got a few predictions here. Danny's going with a 3-0 to Arsenal. Peter's going with 4-0. Mr. Bluey Skies says Everton, we're going to win 1-0. He had a dream, we won 1-0. And then Die scored. Thank you very much for Mr. Blue Skies for that prediction. Adam's saying good morning. It's 10 to 9 here in the UK. You're over in Australia. Adam, one of our special guests. I have to dart in a moment. I do have a 6-week-old baby, and I'm normally on a clock at the moment. But Corey, thank you so much for having me on my show, on my channel.
And yeah, thank you for letting me have you on your show.
I really appreciate it. And who's doing the coverage on Saturday?
I believe I'm there before the match. I'm not too sure who's doing the post. Is it Chad doing the post match?
Let's see who's on. It's just Paul Yandalf on his own.
Well, I'm sure I can join in and say hello to him for a bit. We've not had a catch up for a while, me and Jan.
What, for 1 week?
I miss him.
Right, guys. Corey, do you want? Is there anything else you want to discuss?
If anyone wants any positivity, the under-18s won 7-0 last night. If anyone's able to watch it, Harrison Armstrong scored a hat trick, and I think he assisted 2 or 3 goals. The lad looks head and shoulders above that under-18s team.
Under 18?
He's only 18. In fact, he's only 17.
He was playing for the under-18s, was he?
Playing for the under-18s. He's 17 years old. He's got some minutes. He played the full game, so maybe don't expect him to see him in the team. He might still make the bench. But he looks head and shoulders above the 18-year-olds in that team. Anyone in that league, it looked like a professional playing football. It looked like the likes of, maybe not Wayne Rooney, but you understand where I'm coming from, playing against them level of players. He bullied absolutely everyone. So we've got a little gem in our hands.
Why was he playing with the 18s?
The under-21s didn't have a game, so it's probably just giving him some minutes in the legs.
That's funny.
But
next week he'll be playing for the under-11s and he'll score 18 goals, and that will give you the positivity you need.
Let's get Calvert-Lewin doing that. Get some confidence, eh?
I don't think he'd even score in the under 11s. I think he only scores if you put it on a plate for him 3 yards out.
He can only score with his head, can't he?
And even that, we need to look at the statistics for how many chances he's missed. Big chances. But not today. Not today. Corey, thank you so much. Let's catch up soon. And thanks everyone for watching. You know what to do. Corey's going to explain.
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone. We appreciate it. Remember to smash that like button, subscribe, anything you can do to help us. And feel free to join us on Sunday. We look forward to seeing you again before we smash Arsenal. Up the Toffees.
Up the Toffees.